everyone. I'm Sean Lindersmith, aka Snacks, the head coach of the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers men's program. I gave this presentation last year, and if you were here last year, it looks slightly different order and a little bit more structure involved in it. So hopefully we take a little bit more out of it if you were here last year. I know Pat was here, obviously. Essentially, I'm presenting how to build a defensive strategy, right? I'm assuming nothing when I walk into this room. I don't know where you come from, who you work with, what levels, if it's men's, women's, kids, flag, touch, 7s, 15s. All these principles that we'll talk about in this can apply to all those levels, right? Given your context, you can take what we have, put that into effect for what you do, and hopefully run a successful defensive strategy. The reason I'm presenting on defense is because not many people do, right? We don't really talk about defensive structure. We see it on TV. We hear about turnovers, jackals, poaches, all that stuff. But sometimes it's really hard to put that stuff into context and into practice because we spend so much time working on our attack. Attack's complicated. We want to get multiple moves. We want to see things going, flowing, and whatnot. And then all of a sudden everyone goes, well, shit, we got to go to defense. So for me, I got to a point with my attack coaching and COVID. We hit COVID, became an unprecedented time in terms of professional education, via coach Twitter, webinars, all the different things that were going on. I decided to focus on defense. And the things I learned helped build this presentation. All right, so we're going to start about a 10,000 foot level. And we'll talk to you. Well, actually, we're going to start with y'all. What are you hoping to see or accomplish in this session? Al?
I just want to know what you guys are doing so I can analyze it better.
There we go. Love it. Good. Jack, why are you sitting in this?
Learning what I don't know.
Learn what you don't know. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Yes, sir.
First time coach and kind of part of a club that's rebuilding right now, so really how to analyze my talent and pick the defensive strategy that's going to best suit us.
Yeah, I think that's a great position to be in, right? Is to get into a club, either helping it rebuild or start it off the ground, and be able to maybe knock some bad habits out of the way and build some really good ones as we move forward. All right, that's good. Anybody else have anything they want to accomplish or maybe see? Cheezer?
Things I'm like first time coach trying to apply some strategy to defense.
Cool. All right. My hope is that at the end of this, you have enough to take away that you can develop some things. And one thing to remember is consider me a resource as we move forward. If you walk away and you go, oh shit, I have a question, I didn't talk to Snacks at his presentation, hit me up at the dinner, hit me up at the bar later, text me, tweet me, whatever, I'll hit you up and I'll talk defense all day. This is one of my favorite things to do. Okay? Those of you, how many played the game? How many played great defense? Sometimes. Okay? Think back about how does great defense look, sound, and feel? What reactions does that evoke in you? Say it.
Loud. Communication's loud.
Communication's loud. Everybody's on point, talking their job, what they're doing. What else? Consistent. What types of consistency are we looking for?
Solid tackles, drop out.
Yeah.
Everything the same way.
Okay. Good performance, good technique. Right. What else? Anything else? Organized. He who organizes first usually wins. Is that fair? What else? Floyd?
Cohesive.
Cohesive. Give me more. What makes it cohesive?
Blocks just building on top of each other, having the energy there, having the competence of the system that you're running, having great communication, like you just said. So I think it's just all things aligning.
Yeah. If you're looking at this pick, right? We're in black. Wisconsin's red. How do you know we're playing good deep? we're aligned, right? We're flat, we're connected.
Ready to go, ready to launch.
Ready? All right. Most of them. Seth Smollett is looking great right there. Okay. I just love this picture. This is a great facility, and we're really happy that we got to play Wisconsin there. And I felt it was appropriate to have Minnesota and Wisconsin in my presentation. So thank you for letting me do that. Okay, let's get into the building part. All right, last year, kind of was nervous, had no idea what I was doing, had to put into words what I was doing as a coach. And I decided this time I was going to put a little bit more structure and framework in this. Okay, so to build our overarching defensive principles, I come up with the 3 S's. All right, the speed at which we want to play, the structure, and the shape. Okay. First one we'll talk about, speed. What type of defense do we want to play? What kind of athletes do we have? Are we big and crushing, or are we fast and mobile? Are we somewhere in between? Do we have a couple good X-factor players? What do we have, right? How do we decide what defense we're playing depends on the strength of our team. Okay? You have to analyze that as a coach, and then you put it into effect. Generally right now, there are 2 types of defenses being played primarily throughout the world. First one is a drift. Second one is a blitz. Okay? Drift is looking to stop tries. It's using the sideline as a 16th player. It's a low risk, low reward, right? You're not overly pursuing the attack. You're letting them run and you're pushing them to a touchline. You're getting them to the ground, trying to get an opportunity, right? You can play a drift all day if you're really connected in that and moving back and forth. Drift is susceptible to inside running lines, right? As we're coming up and we're pushing out, a cut back line to the inside, that's where we're susceptible, and you have to stay connected to beat that. Okay? In my opinion, I believe it's the easiest to install. Right? Everybody's played drift at some point in their career. You can come back and not regurgitate. You can bring those principles back pretty quickly from your playing time and get those in there as fast as possible. Right? Also, a drift defense, because you have the 16th player in the sideline, you don't necessarily have to be as fit to start. Right? You don't need to be as fast. You just need to be connected. You need to play well together. You need to be cohesive. All right? The second one is the blitz. Right? You're looking to get the ball back. You're looking for opportunities. All right? You're putting an immense amount of pressure with line speed on the attack. You're cutting off their space. You're choking them out. Getting them on the ground. Right? It's high risk and high reward. Okay? I'm going to skip one here because the risk and reward part, I'll fix this later, but because you're playing at such a high tempo and you're getting off the line fast, you're going to draw a lot of penalties. A lot of penalties. Our offside penalties is probably the biggest count that we get. Would you guys agree? Jack, would you agree? We have referees that have turned back around and we're already off the line, so they immediately assume we've taken a cheating position on that. But I can show you film where our guys are working really hard to get onside and get off the line. Okay? A blitz defense is susceptible to late running lines. Right? I'm coming up in Pat's face. Pat's using a pullback pass and a guy's coming out of nowhere where I can't see him. I'm too far in front and he gets a lane. Right? So again, it's dependent on having some connection in the defense so that somebody can come up and take that space and scramble to get that. All right? Any questions about the drift or the blitz in a basic sense? Anybody running any of this? Or maybe even something I haven't listed here. Okay, last year we talked about a hybrid. A hybrid is actually a drift and a blitz combined, which is a bit more complicated to run. And what that would actually look like, right, is say you're running off of one touch line, cross field, you blitz in their face, you get a tackle in the middle of the field, your numbers are susceptible because of maybe not even. You fold around, and as they push around the corner, you drift and push them to the touch line again to get an opportunity, and then you blitz them off the line. Right? Push them to a corner and then blitz them. That's what a hybrid would look like in that aspect.
Do you have that kind of set process, or you have that as a call of somebody on the pitch?
Yeah, it would be a set process, right? Because much like the drift and the blitz, it's talked about. You practice it. You do it in sessions and say, look, we're going to push them to the touch line. then we get a great opportunity to blitz them, shut down their 10 or shut down their forwards attack, and then get an opportunity, right? If they get to the middle of the field, we're going to get a little passive, we're going to push them to the touch line, and we're going to try to get them out of bounds, get them into touch, or get an opportunity one-on-one on the outside, right? It's talked about. It's not haphazard at all. None of this is all deliberate, right? You should say, guys, we're going to be in a drift. Well, hey, we're going to go from a drift, and we're going to start playing a blitz because we're fit now. We're going to put pressure on, right? You decide what you do based on the attributes of your team and the players that you have, right? Right now, we're really fast at Minnesota. We're very fast, lots of speed, mobile forwards, backs who come from a defensive back place, like intercepts, one-on-one tackles, they're really good at it. So we're in a blitz, right? If that changes and we get some massive forwards who aren't as mobile, we'll probably shift to a drift. Just depends on what our strengths are, right? Any questions on those? Questions are welcome.
Do you do something where you'll have your color first out, second out, go inside out? Because, the classic thing is you have your pot of forwards, they come up, boom.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they will go to their playmaker, or they have their playmaker behind their pot of forwards.
Yep.
At the beginning of the game, they come up, boom, boom, they don't want to lose the ball. As the game goes on, and the guy will call for it. Okay. So, do you do something where those first three come up and out so they catch that pot behind the gain line, and now you can really pressure that first receiver.
Yeah.
And now he has it coming from the inside and the outside at the same time.
Yeah.
And now he's nervous because, oh God, I got to get rid of the ball because someone's going to get me high, someone's going to get me low.
That's a great question. And we'll get a couple more slides in. We're going to go from a bigger structure perspective, and we'll whittle it down, and we'll talk about alignment and assignments and adjustments. And we'll talk about exactly that. Like, what's it look like for the forwards? What's it look like in the backs? Okay? And then we'll dig into that a little deeper, if that's okay. But you're onto something, and you're right. There's many ways to do that, and we'll talk about that. Okay? All right, next we're going to talk about our structure. We want to know what are our frontline numbers, who's our first wave of defense, and what do we want in the backfield. Okay? First system that people are running these days is a 13-2. The first number talks about the front line. Okay, how many numbers you have there? Right here we have 13. God, I hope I put 13 here. 13, awesome. Okay, and we have 2 in the backfield. Okay, 13-2 adds an extra body to the line, so you gain a numerical advantage. All right, with that numerical advantage, you can create more pressure. There's not a lot of space for the attack because you have an extra body to attend to in the front of the line. It's really hard to account for that extra defender. With adding an extra defender, it spreads the workload evenly across all 13 players. All right, therefore conserving energy a little bit more, and because it's more suited for a rush defense, that energy conservation helps us maintain a pressure defense throughout the entirety of the system. You can play a drift in this too, but most people who run a 13-2 are running a rush or a blitz defense. Okay? In the backfield, we'll talk about what the shape is in a second, but you've got 2 people in the backfield to cover kicks, and I've put these really cool lines there, thank you Canva, to see where they cover, right? They're shifting from probably the middle of the field to the edge and over and back, right? You can play a pendulum system in this as well. We tried it this year with not a lot of, with American rugby not having a very high rugby IQ, it was tough for us to play because our wings they were getting confused on when to come into the line and when to drop back out of the line. So what we did is we just dropped back to a stationary 2 people in the backfield, put our wings up there. And we'll show you what that shape looks like in a second. Okay, the next one is a 12-3. This is pretty standard. How many people have played this in their time in rugby? Yeah. This is probably the first defense that most people learn. You have 12 up in the front line. You have 3 in the back. Again, you can play this like a pendulum system, right? You usually have your wingers back and your fullback in the backfield back here to cover any kicks or get what we call counterattack opportunities. You're using the touch line as a defender because you're missing that body, but essentially you have a defender who doesn't have any energy because he's stationary in the sideline. That's why 12-3 is probably better suited for a drift defense, right? You get up in their face, push them to the touchline, reset, keep doing that over and over again. Pretty standard, pretty simple. Probably, how many people are playing this now? Yeah, it's okay. If it works, right? Now, 14-1 is typically what happens when we get inside the 22, up against the try line. We bring the two wingers up, being 14 in the line here, which gives us maximum coverage inside of our red zone. Gives us an opportunity to put some bodies on bodies and flood rucks to get some counter ruck opportunities, potentially, right? If you're playing really well and you're consistent, you can get those opportunities. You can play either a drift or a rush defense in a blitz, drift or blitz, in this this sort of structure and framework. All right? Has anybody seen any other types of numbers in the front line and the back line? No, it's pretty standard these days. Okay? Shape. Who makes up our front line and who makes up our backfield? Okay, and at 13-2, now this is according to how I would prefer to play the game. And what's the most common attack system at this point in time?
1-2-3-1.
1-3-3-1, right? So if you're starting from a kickoff, I gotta get my little button. You're starting from a kickoff. You know, you get your kicker in the middle of the field. You got your 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1, and 1. So you got your 1-3-3-1. Sorry, right there. So, couple things here. Type 5 in the middle of the field. Why? Why would you run that? Slowest players. Yes, sir?
It allows you to create more double tackles. They don't have to play against backs.
Yep. That's great.
Who your biggest?
Biggest. Yep. So that goes alongside with the double tackle. Sorry, I'm trying to think about all the reasons why that's a beautiful slide. Thank you, Red, for helping me. Okay. Couple pieces here, right? We talked about double tackles. We'll talk about those a little bit more when we dive down into the smaller bits and pieces, right? If you turn over and go in transition, you can get right into your system 1-3-3-1, right? Also, if you're thinking of modern day rugby, right? Your hooker and your centers are just a pseudo 6, 7, and 8, but out in the back line. Okay? So you have your best ball fetchers out on the wing. You have your chasers and your finishers, your distributors out the back, and 9, my new favorite player in the world, they fill in wherever they want. Okay? They're part of the 13, but essentially they're trailing along the back edge of the ruck or the line, and they fill in where need be. Okay? We've given our 9 free reign, Sean, that if he sees an opportunity, bang, he's on it. Right? Jack drops a body, Sean's over the top, we go for the poach or we go for the counter. Okay? And we've gotten pretty good at it. So your 9 is your general here for the front line, 10 and 15 in your back line, constantly talking, constantly telling people where to go and what to do. Your shape might not always look like this. This is optimal, right? But if you can keep your type 5 towards the middle of the field most of the game, you're going to conserve a lot more energy as well, right? They're going to be going a lot longer, right? Seth, how many minutes did you have this year? Front row?
Just over 70.
Just over 70? Yep. Okay. 12-3. Very similar shape here. Typically, though, in the backfield, we bring the wingers back in the fullback, right? You could bring the 10 out of there as well into the backfield, but then you'd have to have some rugby IQ, and your wingers would have to constantly be shifting and stuff, and that might just be a transition some teams aren't working with, right? MLR Pro, they could probably do that, maybe the top collegiate programs, but below that, it's pretty stationary, right? Your wingers are back, your fullbacks back, forwards are up in the line, right? Your 2 and your 8 are in your 1, 3, 3, 1, and your centers are off to this side, much like we did in the other. Again, this would be optimal shape. Again, 9 fills in wherever they want. They're a menace. Give them free reign and let them go.
Do you have your 9 sometimes straight and shaking this tackles?
Yes, yeah. Sean makes a shitload of tackles just by scraping across the line. Also gets a hell of a lot of turnovers too. Okay. We view the 9 in a little bit different light than most teams do these days, and there's just some philosophy stuff, and we'll talk about it in the set piece in a couple more slides, which are on the slides. Okay? So we built our structure, right? We built our overarching structure. We say we want to play a blitz defense and a 13-2. If we get in our red zone, we go to a 14-1. Now, we have to talk about what I call the 3 A's, right? Your assignments, your alignments, and your adjustments. Okay? This is dialing it in, bringing it down to what we're going to do on a defensive effort, where depending on where we're at in the field. Okay? First one's assignment. Assignment. Back. All right. Okay. So we talked about this before, right? We have a ruck here. Triangles are usually rucks on this, so if you see it again and I don't explain it, that's what it means. Okay, we have our 9 out the back. We have some players we got to pick up here off of the side of the ruck. We have our forward pod here in an arrow shape with our 10 out the back, which is a common theme that we see these days, right? We're looking, either he's going to hit the front, the 2 in the pod, and he goes tips, or we can go straight out the back in what we call a ghost option, or we could go here, here, in a Brumbies, or no, I'm sorry, here, here in a Brumbies, or we can go here, here in a Chiefs, right? There's all kinds of patterns and stuff that forwards could do these days, okay? So typically, we put big bodies on big bodies, right? These 4 players right here, typically going to be forwards, big 1 through 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. And in here, in this sort of area, we're looking to get double tackles. 2 guys on the ball, dominate that position, get them past the gain line, get an opportunity if we want it, right? The opportunities, what kind of opportunities are we looking for there? After your tackle, post-tackle effort, what can we get? So we get a turnover. What kind? Jackal? Jackal, right? What else is turnover? Penalty, right? Penalty's just as good as a jackal. What about you got space over the ball and you win it? What do we call that? Counter ruck, right? We name them animals. Obviously, jackal. We go counter ruck. We call it gorilla, right? Big silverback just running your ass through that. Okay. As we get further away from this forward pod, right? These 3s that we call them. We start about that 4th or 5th player. We start lining up for single tackles. Everybody see that? Got 1 bullet, 1 kill is what we call it. You got to be. That's where you put your centers and your flankers out of those isolated areas because they're typically your better open field tacklers, right? So we do single tackles in this area. God, I did not align that well, and it's really upsetting me. Sorry, I have OCD. I just like things that are nice and neat rough. Okay. Everybody, does anybody have any questions? Agree with us? Disagree? Anything different? Yes, sir.
The second person in, come from the inside or the outside?
Get to that. Next thing we talk about, alignment. Okay? So we used to talk, oh, God, this thing's touchy. Okay? So, we used to talk about A, B, C. I got you, you got him, he got him, right? Now, because we're sort of tightening the splits just off of the ruck, what we're doing is we basically say we line up even. We're going to put these 4 players on these 4 players. And 10, obviously, out the back, right? We line up evenly spaced, cover that space in the internal fringes, what we used to call that, right? And we let the ball carrier pick the tacklers. Okay? This guy gets the ball, he runs into this gap, these 2 guys take him. He runs into this gap, these 2 guys take him. If he tips it, 4 takes him. Okay? It breaks down confusion in the moment where, like, me and Sean can be right next to each other pointing at the same guy. We come up, we miss that 9 on the inside. Right? If me and him are taking him, 9 can taxi right through that gap. So right now, what we do is we let, if he taxis, 1 and 2 takes him. If he comes up, 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, 3 and 4. Okay? Try to simplify it as much as possible so that way we're not getting confused on assignments. Or getting too bunched up here at the ruck. Right? Seth was talking about that. He was seeing it even for us and some of the other teams that we play. people are really scared to take on 3 forwards and a really dynamic 9, so they bunch here and they'll put probably 7 players in that position of 5. Okay? What does that do to space on the outside? Opens it up. There might be a mismatch, there might be a misalignment. Away you go. So what we do is we just evenly space. We say, here's our net. Try to get through it. All right? This is not a concept many of us are used to. Kind of give up control and we say, get in there, get even, and they'll pick you and then the 2 of you work together. Right? Still coming up. Everybody's coming up and everybody's going in. But the ball carrier will go where he'll go. They'll go. And you just got to let your tacklers do the work. Okay? Now, the trick is you've got to work this enough in sessions that your players know if I'm the first one, I go high or I go low. Like our guys now have gotten to a point where you can hear them on the video and on the field going, I'm going low. And the next guy goes, okay, I'm going high. Right? Okay? It takes practice. It takes some continuity. It takes communication and cohesiveness. But you can get to that pretty quick if you dial this in and train. So what happens on late switch? Late switch, right? Well, typically a lot of forwards aren't running a late switch. But if they do, okay, typically what we're seeing, right, is 9 to 10. We're going to go here, and this guy's pull back past the 9, or to 9, or to 10. 5 and 4 have got to be on their game. If this player's coming up and 3's taking the tackle, 4 takes the tips away, then joins the tackle late. Or if the ball goes out the back, 4 comes right up in this gap, 5 comes up, and that's part of the drift, or I'm sorry, part of the blitz that we play is you've got to cut the space off first, even in a drift too, right? Cut the space off. If the ball moves, then you move. If you're coming up in a blitz, you've got to come up, keep coming up, and you smash who's ever in front of you, right? And that's, again, it's the high risk, high reward part of the blitz, because sometimes you might hit somebody who doesn't have the ball. That's happened. But that's, I mean, we're amateur rugby and this shit happens, right?
Yeah.
In the backs, if there's a late switch, you gotta practice for it first, right? Usually you get hit on a late switch and it's like, oh crap, we didn't cover that. Does that make sense, right? So like if you're covered in practice and you're getting your backs and your flankers working together and you start running some, we call it a wedge, right? The short ball or the out the back, pull back pass, right? Have them defend that. Have them defend that in training. And so that way when they get it here and they're in the line and things are going crazy and people are screaming, they're going, I see him lining up out the back. Hey guys, he's an option too. We got to get him. That makes sense? Am I saying that right? Are you guys picturing that, Jack? Is that how we kind of do it?
Yeah, but the ball gets all the way out there. If they're going to run a switch at that point, you got those 5 guys coming up and out at that point because there's no sense trying to run around and go. So, yeah. To answer your question, if someone's going to send in a back into my high 5, please do. One guy will hold him, the other guy will. At that point, you don't even want him to go down. Just hold him up, let the ball come out, and I'll think it's wrong.
2 points on that late switch as well, right, to think about. Right here, we're just talking about at the run. If you're playing a blitz in a 13-2, you have an extra man in that line, and your 9 is trailing as well. Typically, they can help you pick up that late switch as well. If you're in a drift, and you're coming up, and then you're pushing them, you do have an inside man. Right? You do have an inside man there that can help you take that on when you're going into that position. Yes. Again, you can cover everything if you talk about it in practice. But we'll talk about how to make these stick towards the end. Adjustments. We call it folding, holding, or folding. Okay? We get to the tackle area. We have the first tackler. Second person in is the assist. Right? And what we do is if they bring numbers across, so do we. Okay? We at Minnesota, and we do this a little differently. Lots of people come and they fill 1, fill 2, fill 3. Okay? This man usually starts in the 1. He pulls wide and pulls players across with him to set a trap. Okay? So if you're the 9 right here, with the point of the arrow, and you see this man pulling out, you think there's a space there, don't you? But what you really have is you have these 2. No. you have these two, maybe three, who are moving. They know that their splits are going to be a certain evenly spaced bit. They hit this line and then they're coming, right? And I have a video of us doing it. That's what's next. Sorry to spoil a little surprise. It's going to play automatically. It's a little cold, so we're a little slow, but this is what a fold looks like in real time, okay? Make the tackle here. You can see our man pulls him out. Sean's right there saying, guys, get over. Bang, we're up in the face. The 10 comes out. We still hit him behind the game line. Everybody see how that works?
Play it again.
What do you say?
Play it again.
Oh, okay. There's the tackle, double. Here's Sean right here saying, guys, we need you to fold. This man's pulled out. 2. Bang. Then we're right back into it. Right? That's not how people typically fold. It's not. Yes, sir.
So normally for you, so you're opening that gap, but your 9 is essentially going to hold that gap until someone gets filled in.
He
That
is
was
essentially, he's just behind the line.
Right.
It's called a trap. You essentially want them to come in that gap because you know we have 2 guys coming around.
Right.
So he'll typically be standing there and being like, go ahead, keep running at me. They don't realize he's probably our best tackler and best jackler on the team. And either they run into him or they run into the 2 big forwards coming around.
Got it.
Right? And after we've done that a couple times, they'll keep trying to go around the corner. We have an extra man in the line. Here we'd actually have 2 extra men in the line because we're in a 14-1 inside our red zone. So we had our bodies covered, right? We had everything. Any questions on folding or holding? Actually, what's the key to know? What is your key to know how to fold or how many to fold?
Depending on how many are in the tackle or in front of you.
Yes, I love your Louis sweatshirt.
You gave it to me.
Huh?
You gave it to me.
Okay. Alignment, assignment. We did alignment, assignment, and adjustments, right? Now, this is new. Don't kill me. We put this in. This is set piece considerations, all right? And this is where some philosophies for us take a little bit of a turn from the norm. Okay? I need new batteries. All right. We'll start off in the scrum. We're on defense here in the yellow. Okay? You got your 6, 7, and 8 out the back. Typically, what most people are doing now, or what most people do, is the 9 goes with the 9, don't they? And they stand right here, and the 9 and the 8 pick up, go this way, and the 9 chases all the way around. Do you agree? Fuck that. We're putting him back here like a middle linebacker. And we're saying, if they come off, we got 6, 8, and 9 to cover that space as well. He's an extra defender in the line.
Is this the middle of the field?
This is anywhere in the field. I put the wing over here just for conceptualization, right? But, if you got your wing on your wing, your 10's on your 10, your 8's coming out in this gap, 7 and 6 are doing what they normally do. You bring the 9 in here, and you've got an extra body. That's really hard to contend with. Most teams will try to score off of a scrum because you know exactly where all 8 forwards are. The second you pull the 9 out, their backline move, that late switch they're trying to do, kind of goes out the window. Because you get the 6, the 7 out, the 8 out, 9 fills in, 10 can then bump on 12, 12 on 13, 13 on the wing, and 15's back to there going, kick me the ball.
You're starting 9 with the other 9, though, right?
Nope.
Don't start with 5.
We put them at the middle linebacker, stand right behind the scrum, and say, if they come off left, you go get them. If they go right, you push into the line until someone fills that space for you.
So you're not contending on one at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Sean, how many times, you probably get a really good 9 play maybe once every 2 games, right? With this, your percentages of success go up because you have an extra body. And this is for consideration, mind you. You don't have to try it if you don't want to. But we're doing this and we're finding success.
Are you finding out your 8's breaking the right way more often as well? He's got comms right there.
Well, that's J-Rob, yes. Sam Angel is brand new. Also, yes-ish.
But the intent would be.
The intent is there. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
So are
tell you that the ball's out then?
No, nine can see it because everybody's down like this, and Sean's right here over the top going, it's coming left, guys, go. Right? And he's even, I mean, we want him to be about, what, 5 meters back, we said, or 3 meters back? He's freaking right here sometimes, even ready to pick up the 8 coming. He's made more 8 tackles than our 6s at this point.
So, with him not following the scrum half, okay, has the referee ever told him, okay, if you're not gonna follow their 9, you gotta be 5 meters back? No, they've never, okay.
The only thing is, Alec, correct me if I'm wrong. Alec, you said?
I'm looking up the law right now, yeah.
He's supposed to start 5 meters back. Yeah.
He's part of the scrum, though. He's part of the scrum. He can't go here, but he can go anywhere around here. Anywhere there. Alec, don't call me on it, all right?
I promise.
Okay, I don't wanna switch to offense, but you steal this scrum,
9's right there.
9's right there,
Where'd you go?
okay, you send your 8 into the center. Because the natural flow is for the, see what I mean?
Well, after the steal?
Yeah, if you steal, you take your big number 8 and just, because they're in an offensive set.
Yeah.
You steal the ball, and
Yeah.
as you're switching to that defensive set, you sing that big boy right in between that 10 and that 12.
Yeah.
And then that opens things up on, or do you go 2 away and you just go all the way to your wing and there's gonna be a gap somewhere on it?
You want to know the real answer? It depends.
But I just got the scrum on the left, how you wanna go with the 8 because you're passing with the left hand, but you got the scrum on the right and you steal it, you know, now everyone's passing with their strong hand.
Here's where I'm a big believer in letting the players make the decisions and owning that. If Sean says, Sam, Jack, give me the ball, we move it, we move it. If Sean says, Sam, pick it up and go, we pick it up and go. Right? We don't get too bogged down about where they attack after that. We go ahead.
Completely legal.
We don't get bogged down on that because
What law is that?
19.30 speed.
we don't get bogged down in the decision-making process too much. I don't want to make decisions for them. I let them do it. Right? You guys, I don't call plays unless I'm like, what do you see? Yeah, that's good, right? Like, hey, that's good, go for it. Maybe let's run X, Y, or Z, but they won't listen anyways. So we train for transition. We train for that turnover. If we get turnover, we want to go fast. We want to get around the corner. We want to get into shape, get into our pattern really quick. Right? We want to beat people with speed. Right? We can beat them with force if we really need to, but for us, it's speed and a little bit of misdirection thrown in, and that's really hard to defend against. Yeah, is that fair? I don't know if that's how many coaches are dictating what you do on a penalty. 2 passes, or if it's here, kick for touch, right? Game management stuff. I don't want a heart attack on the sideline, so I generally let them make that decision. And then after the fact, and tomorrow we'll talk about this in coaching, just deconstructing coaching, but like, what did you see that had you go do that decision? The question we come back to. What did you see? How did you think that was going to play out? You know, what numbers did you have? Because I'm standing on the sideline over here looking at a flat 2D thing, and I can't tell shit, right? I can't go until the film later, and then I'll go, a really good decision. You know, or oof, we could have gone this way too, but I'm not going to go back and worry about spilled milk or spilled eggs or whatever they call that, right? Right? I highly suggest you consider this. Keep them within 5, so that way if a ref says anything, you can talk about that later after the fact. But get your numerical advantage and put their X. Essentially, right? Okay, let's talk a little bit about the line out. Okay. Just put this together at the last minute because I forgot to put the line out slide in. So Maroon is attacking. We have the 5-meter line, the 15-meter line. We bring the 9 into the tram line in case any sort of over the top or tips. He can take it. He cuts through the line, taking his opposite. Jumpers and lifters, we give them free rein. We at least want 1 pot up. We want a challenge. Okay? Now, here's where I'm going to give you a consideration. What's the law on lineups? Do you have to match numbers? No. They have 6, we have 5. They have 7, we also have 5. I want to put a numerical advantage on their 10 and 12 and really make them have a bad day. Any ball that comes out and goes over the top, our 2, our tail gunner, is taking this lane here, so the 9 won't taxi. He's taking the 10's inside shoulder. These 2 forwards are coming hot. Whoa, sorry. Coming hot and heavy on the 10. 12 can forward, actually, forwards on 10, forwards on 12, 12's on 13, 11 or 14's on 11. Yes, sir.
What do you do if they do a quick ball out? Do you expect a 9, yellow 9 to make a tackle on a big prop?
Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Generally, so you mean the fastball to this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, what we do, our front lifter generally walks to the line. If Patty and I are going and our lineouts are this way, we walk this way to face him, so we take that threat away. If he sees him turn this way, Seth is just going to stand there and be like, go ahead and run. Sean's going to pull up into that 2 and 2, and we're going to have 2 defenders on.
So on defense, you have your guys face the.
Yeah, they come up, and then as soon as they turn, then we go here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll give it away, right? Most people, if this guy's getting the ball, he's standing there going like this. No big prop is not going to be going, give me the ball, right? They're not that good. They're not great poker players. I'm not a great poker player. Yes, sir.
You do that against a lineup that's really good at mauling.
Yeah.
It's 7
Yeah.
and 5. If you have 5 and they're mauling, they have a 7 and they're mauling.
Yeah, we see mauls all the time, right? 2, he checks here. If the ball's not coming, he joins, calls in these 2 here. Sean's over here, or our 9's over here going, come on, guys, let's go, get in here. We'll give up 3 meters here to then get everybody inside, push them towards the touchline. Still play deep, right? Still play deep. And as these guys are coming across, if the ball comes out, they're still able to come into the line and put that pressure on there. Yeah.
Start wrapping up. Time. Yeah.
43. I have an hour.
45 minutes.
Let's start.
Keep going. I'm sorry. I'll be
You're
quiet.
good. I want to talk defense all day, dude.
Yeah, no, I'll be quiet.
Talking back to the ref. Come on.
I'm sorry, sir.
Cardi.
I know this is different, right? But you got to take advantage where you can. Set piece is the best place to score try. Because you know exactly where all their forwards are. They're all pinned in here.
Now those 2, they're there.
These guys?
When they join them all, you have them specifically, they can't come in from the side, they can stay on the right side and influence that to the sideline, or do you have them just come straight to the middle?
Depends on they want to defend it, right?
Wherever Tom wants them.
Well, yeah, and he'll call them, right? We'll say, he'll either say, give me 1 or give me 2, or he'll say, give me 1 and you stay there and I get here. Right? We make sure all our bases are covered here in case they peel or go any of the other stuff. All right? We want a numerical advantage in the back. That's what we want. We want to stop those guys from doing misdirection, doing late switches. We want to put more bodies on bodies, and away we go. The other piece for us, when we play a 13-2, we don't put the 10 in the line. He's in the back line already, ready to receive kicks. You put pressure on them, especially inside their half, the ball's coming back pretty quick. And we're not so great at kicking that our 10 and our 15 is ready to go to have that counterattack. We train to counterattack, to transition fast. Would you guys agree that the games we play at practice are meant to get us speed up? And once the ball goes, we're out. We're gone, right? Yeah. We train that way. And you can too. You can put games in. You can put scenarios in. Try this in practice and see how it works. I guarantee you, you do this, your opponent's going to be like, well, how the hell were you smothering me all day? Most people don't even watch the other team on film. So they'll never know. You just try something like this. You can even put 1 forward out here and just have an attempt at it. Right? 2 takes any overthrows as well as the other thing to think. Any tips to our side. 2 and 9 are there. Right into the pattern. What we say too as well is if we steal this back forward or this forward here, they come right into an arrow shape and run off there if we really need if we needed to do that. Yeah, is that fair? Does that sound crazy or irrational? In my head, it sounds really rational, but then when I say it out loud, I'm like, ooh, it sounds a little different. Okay? Okay. Now, you got your D, you got your 3 S's, structure, shape, speed. You got your 3 A's, so you know how you're going to align, you know how your assignments, you know how you're going to adjust to what they do. You're flowing, everything's going good. Okay? How do you create this culture of defense? How do you take something that was an afterthought prior to a few years ago and putting defense at the forefront? Okay? I like to get standard terminology. Right? If I say own the width, what does it mean? Own the field. Own touch line to touch line. Right? If I say bagamashka, what does that mean? Come off the line. The waves arrive. They're not chip wave. If I say jackal, obviously jackal, right? What other terms do we have? We don't have too many because we just want to play. I think about that. Oh, fold or hold, right? Ear fold. We know we're coming around the ruck and we're batching numbers. Okay? We also advocate for very simple goals. Okay? Everybody's watched analysis. They've seen huddle, sports code, VO, all the things that are out there these days. Is there anything in the game you can't measure now? No, there's so many things, right? Leaders gained, defenders beaten, tackles made, positively, negatively, neutrally, right? You got so many things. For us, Seth, what's our goal?
Stand on feet.
Stand on feet. We want as many ghosts on feet in the front line as possible to choke out the attack. Okay? 13 is optimal when you have no attack, no tackle situation, no counter-rucking opportunities. If we are between 10 and 12, we're really good. If we're below 10, we got to start asking ourselves some questions. Okay? And then we acknowledge these things. And we'll get to how we acknowledge it in a second, but I'd love to ask, what makes all of this, all the A's, all the S's stick? Practice. You practice. You talk about it. You say, this is what we're going to do. Right? If you're doing activities or what, AKA drills, you have a defensive component and an attacking component. You never run against air. Run against a defender. Make an attacker make a decision. Make the defender make a decision on what he would do in a situation. You can go 2-on-1. You can go 2-on-2. You can go 3-on-2. You can go 3-on-3. Play with different scenarios. Put things out there. And then live by your principles. You know, if you say you're going to fold, if 2 guys go in the ruck, 2 guys are going to fold around. Practice that and reinforce that. Don't let it go. Defense is a chance to really take an effect in your game. Okay? And we have actually started this year measuring. Okay? We have a defense report that comes out most weeks. We got a little busy towards the end of the season. This is not one of our best games, to be fair. Okay? We measure how many tackle situations we have, and then we break it down. Did we have 11 plus players on their feet? We had it 32 times. 80% of the time, we had more Gophers in the line than they had on attack. Right? You got ball carrier, secure, or clear, secure, and the 9. How many are left to attack with? Thank you. Not so many. We're almost done. We also, for funsies, I decided to count positive, neutral, and negative tackles. If we have more neutral and positive tackles, that's also an indication of us that we're playing good D, we're on our feet, and we're getting opportunities. Does that make sense? That's how we behind the gain line, right? So gain line's neutral. If we meet them at the line, that's neutral. If we meet them behind, that's negative. If we meet them in front, that's positive. From this, right, if we know we're playing good D, then we start counting things like how many kickoffs were in the game, so we know that we were playing in such and such format, how many scrums, how many lineouts. This particular game, Sam Dodd had 4 disruptions in the lineout, so we counted that. We acknowledged that. Phase play, you can see we had 40 times where we were in phase play, not a kickoff, not a scrum, not a lineout, right? Or maybe like a 22 dropout or a goal line dropout or whatever. Then we count them. FKs are forced knock-ons, forced bad pass because we pressured him. How many times we pressured the kicker? If we get strips or jackals, we count those too. Okay? How many of you are practicing strips? Yeah, it's the new thing. It's the new thing that's hard to penalize because it's open field, it's on your feet, and you go like that and the ball can come loose and then it's free game. Right? Most teams are starting to work on that. I would recommend going, you get that double tackle, right? First guy goes low, second guy comes in, and he goes immediately down for the ball and tries to pull it up.
You have your guys rip up.
Rip up, rip down, rip out.
Just rip them.
Just take their lunch money. Right? But we practice that at practice. How many different ways can you do that? We don't ever say like, no, we only want you to come up. Or no, we only want you to go to the side. We say, here's a ball carrier who's carrying a big medicine ball. He's going to run at you. You've got to hit him, reshape yourself into a position, and then see what you can do. Either you're getting him to the ground for a tackle, or you get him down fast, he has space, you win a gorilla, or you choke his ass out and try to pull the ball out. Right? I mean, we can work on it, right? I thought that's the point of the No, right? But measure it, right? Guys, what was it like to see your name in here? It was cool, right? It was kind of cool to be like, oh shit, Snacks is counting this stuff. Yeah, it took me a while. Sometimes it took me 3 days to count this. Still counting higher. Average points allowed at this point over 4 games was 20. I think as we went the season, that went lower. I think we were closer to 15 or 14 points per game. Yeah? Would you guys agree? Yeah. Lastly, micro skills to focus. 75% of the job of tackling is getting to the ball carrier. Work on getting to them, tracking them, chasing them down, getting hands on them, chasing them down, getting a shoulder and a wrap, chasing them down, pulling a bib out of the back of their pants, right? We play all kinds of tag games, all kinds of like rookie rugby games, just to make sure we can get to the ball carrier if we really need to, right? How many times are you guys playing a tag game in practice? At least once, all right? At least once. Warm up, you don't even think about it, but in warm up, you're doing that too. 10 pass, offside touch, AFLX, right? All the stuff we do. You work on your tackles, how you're going to smash them, okay? Work on your breakdown decisions, when to rip, when to poach, when to counter up, or if you have no opportunity, when to connect with the line, okay? We actually named that. We call that the box. If you get in a tackle, no opportunity, box. I'm in the box, guys, and then you flow with the line. Yeah? And then ground game. Okay? We want to have ghosts on feet, right? How do we get up? How do we get back outside? How do we get ready to launch? Okay? These are the things that we stress and work on, I'd say, over 50% of our practice time. Right? And sometimes we even do it without saying we're going to do defense. We're going to go wrestle for a little bit. We're going to go take pennies out of each other's pants or whatever. We put pennies in and we played like pull your flag. Sorry. That was really I like to leave coaches with resources. Okay. There are 2 free resources right here that I promoted last year. Still great resources. The USA Football Shoulder Tackling System, it's free. Andy Ryland right here, ADR Coach Development, ADR Coach Dev, he runs that program. If you like that and you want to go on to the 5 fights or the advanced tackling system, you can pay to get that one too. But they're giving away a whole shoulder tackling system, which comes with drills, which comes with technique work on, right? And also, Andy Ryland works with another guy, Richie Gray, who works with NFL teams and is like the World Rugby Tackle Guru. He has the World Rugby Tackle Ready program. If you have your World Rugby passport, you have access to this. This thing is more comprehensive than any other tackle tech, anything I've ever seen. I mean, we've gotten so much from that. Our collision coach has gone in there. He's gotten like how to get in body positions, how to like clamp strength, right? Like all names everything. It's great. I highly recommend these two for free. Coaches to Absorb on podcast. Sean Edwards is the defense coach for France. He was the defense coach for Wales, the Wasps for a long time in the Premiership, rugby league background. Lori Fisher is the Brumbies coach, all about the breakdown, speed of arrival, clear outs, one knee tackle or drop knee tackling. He gives everything away on his Instagram. Like everything. Breakdown stuff, tackling stuff, attack stuff. It's every week. I'm just like, holy shit, this guy's just giving everything away. Stu Lancaster, England fame, is at is it Leinster now, right? He's got some great defensive stuff as well and some podcasts. Who's that? Soon to be a France, maybe. We'll see. Instagram accounts, Lori Fisher. Joshua Bray, Wombat Rugby. He's out of Australia. That dude's awesome. He does some really cool stuff. That's where I got the idea. We do crash pads. We take our goalpost pads, stack them together. We tackle into those so we get low soft tissue damage. Right? I got that from Josh. Charlie Purdon, Charlie Rugby Skills out of San Diego. Twitter. These 5 guys on Twitter, if you hit them, they'll hit you right back. They'll like your stuff. They'll DM you or whatever. I actually entered a mentorship with Phil since the last time I was here, and it was the best investment I could make in my coaching. Phil's a great defensive coach. And actually, Dan Cottrell, he does the Rugby Coach Weekly Roundup for Dan. Right? Love Phil. Rusty does the Magic Academy. That podcast has more high performers on it than you can shake a stick at from all sports, all walks of life. Yeah, guys, that's it. Any questions or anything? Sorry, I really didn't realize that.
Better than last year.
Yeah, about an hour later.
Hey!